Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Echo, echo.
Echo 1 2 Niner. We got a bogey coming down.
That was like in Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Was his name two times?
Bobby
Gotta
2.
go, they got to go get the paper, get the paper.
That's true. Everything he says is twice. So nice
Yeah,
he says it twice.
that's right.
That's what I like to hear. Because then you have reinforcement. I know if somebody heard something like, hey, I said this twice.
All
All
right.
right, Dave.
So, well, we got two viewers. We got Steph Bentley on the line.
Yeah, she really likes us. So we are officially live with episode 45 of the Almost Daily Show with your host, Chandler, and
The Dave Picardi.
we are here and we're excited for this episode because we're excited for every episode, but we might be more excited right now than we've ever been excited before.
This is a lot of excitement.
Yeah.
What are we going to do?
I was so excited just now I had ants in my pants.
You figured out my trick. I love those.
Yeah. Well, if you put ants in your pants, it means you're always ready to do the antsy dance.
Well, it just keeps you on your toes.
Yeah. And if you're on your toes, you're never going to fall off track.
Well, you could, but you probably won't.
No. That's the life lesson of the day.
Yeah. So we got a good one today. So I think, we've been brainstorming, entrepreneuring it up, right, for days. I know my weekends are always full because I get so much crap on my mind that I got to get out that we work all weekend on it. So what are we going to call today's episode?
Episode is pretty exciting. Something that everybody needs to get organized, to put out any sort of business ideas, to run any sort of business, or to be the guy, the person in charge, the CEO, the owner, the founder, whatever you want to call yourself. But today's episode is your long-term vision and developing the roadmap to success. Is what we find more often than not in businesses is a lot of businesses fly by the seat of their pants. They don't take the time to sit down, draw out a long-term strategy, draw out where they want to be 12, 24, 36 months from now, and then take that and reverse engineer it backwards and create a roadmap to getting there. And that roadmap isn't just like a linear path. You have to understand that you're going to build this roadmap and you're going to pivot shift 3 or 4 times to get to where you're ultimately going to be. So you have to take the long-term vision, develop it, identify it, build culture around it, build what you need, and then take it and create a step-by-step way that you're going to get there. And each step is going to have like, what if it works? What if it doesn't? Where do we pivot shift? How do we adjust and modify? What does the market look like at each spot? Then once you figure all those pieces out, you're set up to have your roadmap to success.
Yeah, so back in the day, when you did your business plan, you had to have a 5-year plan, right? So you do a whole business plan and you do where do I want to be in 5 years? And everything revolves around that. So now this is what I want to do. This is my vision. What's my perfect day? What's my perfect customer base? When I'm successful, what does it look like? And then, like Chandler said, you reverse engineer that out. The thing that happens to entrepreneurs, if you're truly an entrepreneur, you're always thinking, right? You're always coming up with ideas. And so I think there's 2 things. Is one, we get paralyzed by that, right? So, and a lot of the times entrepreneurs have to, you come up with this idea, then you're trying to figure out how to accomplish it and how to build it and how to get it to market and how to do all these things. That's one major problem that happens. And most of the time, nothing comes out, right? You're not able to actually execute. And I think that's the first law of marketing, right, Chan?
Yeah, the first major law of marketing that we have is execution. So once you develop the long-term strategy, once you have the strategy to success implemented and you have the development pathway, now you have to actually go out and do it. And then on top of that, the second law of marketing is you have to be consistent with it. So most of us, almost everybody has a million ideas and a million things they're thinking about and a million things they wish they could do, but nobody actually goes out and does it. And the people who do it are going to benefit from the ultimate success. But on top of that, you have to say, okay, now that I've executed and now that I'm in a position to where we're actually doing things, I have to be consistent with it. Because the secondary failure of entrepreneurs and business owners is they'll start something and then they'll do it for a week or two, and then they stop and drop off the face of the earth and try to do it 6 months later. And they end up in this perpetual cycle of starting and stopping and failure and success. And we don't want to get in that cycle.
That's right. So this comes down to the 5-year plan. What is the end goal, right? What is your result? What is going to be successful in your mind when you start out in this? And then all your decisions along the way have to come back to that. So let me explain, right? If my end goal, and I establish it, is one thing, and then a money-making opportunity or something short-term comes to play, and I decide we're going to jump on this. Does this help me reach my goal, my 5-year goal? If it does, now that's something that we can pursue and look at. And I've always had this rule. If you're actually going to do something, you set it up correctly and you have to give it 6 months, because it does. Most of the time, if you try something and it doesn't work right away, it's because you didn't give it enough time. So make sure you do the proper research, put in the proper work, and actually when you implement something, actually then let it work. But if you have an idea and it doesn't directly help you get to your desired result, it might not be a good idea. If it was a separate business, it could make you lots of money. Maybe go partner with somebody, let them do the work. But don't get caught up chasing things that don't have a direct impact on you achieving your 5-year goal.
Yeah, that's a good point. I see, like, so often with business owners, we look across the street and we see our competitor doing something. And so we immediately want to pivot, shift, and do exactly what they're doing in order to combat and shift away from what they're doing. Or for some reason, we get in this like competitive mindset where, oh God, Haagen-Dazs down the street is doing something. We need to make sure we do the same thing that they're doing. So everybody pivot, shift, everything we were doing and stop. And what happens is you lose the strategy you were developing and you move into a strategy you don't understand and you haven't thought about yet. So you have to make sure that when your competitors are doing something, you're not going off and copying everything they're doing or reacting off what they're doing, because reactionary-based business isn't going to help you grow your business, and it's not going to help you develop that long-term plan, because being reactionary is something where you see something and you do something based off that, which isn't usually, there's not a lot of forethought based off that. So what we need to do is we need to always be aware of what our competitors are doing, what they're saying, how they're doing it, and how they're approaching things. But at the same time, what we're doing is we're maintaining our long-term strategy. We're maintaining what we're doing, and we're never falling off of that wagon unless we see an opportunity to pivot shift that's going to help us get to that long-term goal before we need to get there.
Right.
And what this does is it gets you into a position where your competitors are going to start looking at you and copying what you're doing. And then you put them into this perpetual cycle of trying to figure out what you're doing, trying to figure out why you're doing it, and then trying to modify and adjust everything they do based off you. And that's how you become an industry leader.
That's right. And so really what we're talking about here is have a business plan, and so I see this a lot. Some people get lucky. Lots of people fly by the seat of their pants. And I've heard this a lot, especially in one of the business worlds we're in, which is the gym world, where business plans are not needed. They are needed, right? If you don't have an actual plan, at least an initial thing to start off of, and a vision that you're driving towards, that is your business plan. Everybody needs a business plan, and if you don't have one, sit down and do one. You might actually carve out a lot of the wasted effort and time and everything that goes on in your business. Then you need to have your vision comes out of that. And then this is what Chandler and I do, the relationship marketing experience, is then you build your entire operation around the relationship marketing experience, and you have a great long-term setup to succeed.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we do in, like you're saying, with the relationship marketing stuff. Someone sent me an email after watching an episode saying that what makes us different is we take a strategy and we develop that strategy around what the best practices are going to be and how we achieve a long-term goal, versus just saying, we're going to teach you Facebook marketing. We're going to teach you marketing on social media. We're going to do this. That's not what we do. Facebook marketers are a dime a dozen. Digital marketers are a dime a dozen. Everybody in the world. Yeah, everybody in the world is an expert at Facebook marketing right now. And that should be a piece of your puzzle, one of your tools in your bucket that you're using in your tool belt. It should be what defines your entire business and your entire strategy. Yeah, it's important, and it's going to be a big piece of what we do. But at the same time, we're also aware that we need to be doing like audio stuff with some businesses, and we need to be doing stuff on Instagram and local business development and workshops. And we know that we have a funnel on the internet, and we have a funnel off the internet, and we have a funnel and an email solution. And we have all of these pieces that we put together based off what our long-term strategy looks like, what our ideal client looks like, and what our ultimate goal is going to be, which is to survive as a small business.
Well, so you're talking tools, right? So this is the problem in marketing is marketers sell the tools as the solution that you need to be successful. But it's not even just the marketers, it's the CRM companies. It's every ounce of everything that's being sold to a business owner. And what is missing a lot of the time in most of the business owners, like the successful ones, a lot of them do these habits naturally, and you'll find commonality between all successful people out there, whether or not they know that. They might say, I don't do any of that. And if you go in and study their habits, a lot of the time they're all doing the same habits. And so Facebook ads, Instagram ads, direct mail, websites, these are all tools, right? So with what we do, and this is, I think what really sets us apart, is we come in for the relationship marketing experience. It's what's your business plan? What is your vision? What do you have for resources? What is the people inside of your business and the personality? What are you trying to get out? Now that is our toolbox. So we've just created this thing. Now we have to fill it. Now let's go out and utilize the correct tools for the job at this moment in time. Let's plan on the future. What tools are we going to bring in? When are we going to bring them in? What tools aren't working? You know, that is having a game plan, an overall game plan in your business and your marketing. And marketing is, I think this is what we've really identified in this time in the world is it's about learning how to really communicate and feature your clients and celebrate their success and all these things, and then communicate it to the world. So you just let the world see what's going on in your story and in your vision, and in your ultimately in your business.
Yeah, exactly. And what we see a lot of the time is, and what we tell people to do is, once you have your long-term strategy set up, your tools set up, everything you know that you need for your roadmap to success, as you go through the roadmap and as you go through different intervals, when you see something new that you think you should do, you have to take a step back and say, okay, this seems like it's going to work right now, but is this going to fit into the puzzle? Is this going to fit into my long-term strategy, my roadmap to success long-term? Does this make sense if I implement it now? Am I going to still be using this 6 to 12 months from now? Or is it just going to be a lost cause that I picked up and then dropped off the face of the earth because it was the flavor of the week? So everything that you introduce, everything people bring to you, all the CRMs, all the new marketing products, all the automation tools, which are really popular right now, you need to take a step. Yes, it's going to be there, or no, it's not. That's when you can say, okay, let's introduce it or let's not introduce it. And sometimes it takes a strategist, and that's what really makes what we do different. It's not marketing. It's long-term sustainable business strategy over time, and utilizing all of our available tools and assets to make that strategy work.
Yeah, and something else, I think, here's something else when you're getting into your long-term vision and roadmap is when you have an idea of where you're going. I'm a huge fan of business coaching, and I'll explain kind of why, because there's a lot of business coaches out there. So my first coach, this guy, Caleb, who's amazing, and everything he did was all the Dale Carnegie stuff, which is, I think, unbelievable. So I hire a business coach, and really what his job was to keep me on track with a lot of this stuff. So we know how to do it all. I knew how to do it all. So when I'd sit down with this guy for a long-term vision and roadmap of success and all these things, he didn't tell me anything I didn't know. I'm a long-term business guy. I love this stuff. The difference was we mapped out the vision. We mapped out where we were going with it. And then it was, okay, so what are we going to do this week to progress us down our path for success? And then it was homework. So I have to have these 3 things done for next week. So I think a big piece that happens with business owners is they don't actually surround themselves enough with help, strategic partnerships. So having business coaching, yes. Having, a marketing company that helps you with your overall strategic plan and vision and direction, and where you're spending your money and how you're getting there, yes. right? Professional development, right? And CEU stuff. Yes, you need all these things. And so that's part of your long-term game plan is maybe you can't afford it now. You need to be in some free groups for it. If you're not doing those things, you're really falling behind, and it's a reason why success is hard.
Yeah, that's a good point. And when we map that long-term strategy, that needs to be included in there. So as you make the roadmap to success, you need to say, okay, as we go along this pathway, what am I weak at? What can I not handle? And how do I fix that? So who can I hire, or who can I consult with, or who can I find to mentor me to make those certain pieces of what I'm doing successful, because I'm not good at it or I don't enjoy doing it. And that's how another law of marketing we talked about, it's how we leverage our strengths. So go all in on what you're good at, hire people to help you with what you're not good at, and find mentoring to bring in the pieces that you can't quite figure out or don't quite fit along the pathway along the way. And if you can do that, now you've set yourself up for not only the vision, the roadmap, but you've also set yourself up to have staffing organized in that roadmap to success. So it's not, hey, I think I need to hire someone because we're busy, and then you worry about it and it's already too late because you're already slammed. It's, hey, I know in 6 months we're going to need to hire somebody. So at the 3-month mark, we're going to start prepping for that hiring. And I'm not very good at hiring, so I'm going to go talk to someone who can mentor me and help me with hiring and mentoring and organizing interns and all that stuff. Or it's, hey, 24 months from now, we're going to double our workforce. And so as we get to that 24-month mark, we're going to start adding people in different intervals as we have the finances and as we have our roadmap developed and built to a point to where it's actually feasible.
Right. And so this is where, I think I get in trouble like this sometimes. So here's my idea and we're pushing forward, and in 6 months, this is where we expect to be. Well, so in 6 months, when you get there, infrastructure has to change. If you're successful, something had to be added to manage this whole thing. So this is something that I switched over in my train of thought is okay, so this is where my desired effect, this is what I want to happen. Okay, when it happens, what does management look like? What resources do I need? What has to change? Now that I have that figured out, then I go in on the marketing side and say, okay, now what is my game plan to get there? How am I going to grow? How am I going to bring these clients in? What type of content, marketing budget, help do I need to actually get there? So important. And I think another piece to that really helps with success is, most of the time a company, you'll hire somebody and they try to be everything to you, and it's, oh yeah, we do marketing, and oh yeah, business consulting, and oh yeah, we'll teach you this and sell you that and whatever it is. You need strategic partnerships. You want to find people that are really good at what they do, and then you want to partner with them. And the ones that are really good at what they do will communicate with everybody else that you partnered with, right? So like we have a management platform we use with our clients. And then if you're working with a business consultant, we actually then put the business consultant into the platform with us. And if you have a web designer, we put the web designer into the platform with us. So we can all communicate with your business to make sure that you're actually following your long-term vision and roadmap for success. And so everybody together, not separate pieces doing their own thing. And we stay in our lane, and we like to partner with the people that are better at things than us, and we do what we do well.
That's it. And ultimately comes down to the fact that if you try to do everything, you're ultimately going to be good at nothing. So, and you have to understand that when you're piecing all these things together, like if we try to do everything, we wouldn't be good at anything we do. So we stick with what we're good at, partner with the people who are good at what they're good at. And that's how we create strategic alliances and strategic partnerships. And it's how you build on and leverage your strengths. And you should do this in your business too. So if you can't do something very well, you partner with someone to bring in what you can't do. Like you're obviously not going to produce your own supplements and stuff like that. And you're not going to make your own apparel. So you partner with someone who makes it. You partner with someone who has a supplement line you can introduce. You partner, maybe you want coffee or drinks in your gym. So you partner with someone who can bring that into you. Because these are things you can't do. Maybe you're not very good at coaching. So you are developing new coaches if you're a gym. So you partner with someone who can develop your coaches and have them already structured and flowed into your business. These are things that you should do to make sure that you're always a step ahead of the game.
And I think a lot of the times it's a big task for business owners, because you just mentioned lots of things, and there's all these companies out there that do all those things. It's just expensive, right? So if you look at it in terms of an individual transaction with one strategic partner, and you're not looking at it in a big vision, it cost me this much to be in this group and that much to do this and this much over here. You have to look at it as one unit. And this is why I think what we're doing so cool with how we put them all under one umbrella and everyone gets to work together under our platform. It's all necessary. I get caught sometimes, like all business owners, being the janitor. Like I always introduce myself as a janitor just because, it's ultimately my job and my responsibility is the whole place. And so, but really, what's the first thing anyone ever tells you if you're a business owner and you're cleaning your own toilets? They say, hire someone to do that because you make money doing what you do well, not cleaning toilets. And so that's across the board with everything. You're running events and you're getting T-shirts. Yes, you can probably save money and make a little bit more profit margin if you go down the street and work with a local printer. But who has to do the work? Who has to organize it? Partner with a company that can just handle it. And then you make a little bit less on the margins, but you didn't have to do any work and you brought their resources in to help you. You want to run a store in your gym. Partner with a company that does that. You make a little bit less money, but the thing's way better, right? Same thing with, maybe it's, if you're not a great programmer, this is in the gym world, this is actually a pet peeve of mine. I know the gym world blew up with micro gyms and all that. But personally, I always felt that if a coach is worth a damn, he should be doing his own programming and actually training his clients and doing all those things. But at this point, the way the world works, you can actually hire programming people. So if you're not a great programmer, pay the money. But don't pay the money and not pay it other places that you need it to, right? You need to have a better strategy than that. You need to figure out when to bring on certain services, who to bring on, what matters, what doesn't. Don't just randomly try stuff and then say, maybe it's not worth it.
Yeah, everything has to come into, it's going to cost money. Is the revenue obtained going to be a piece of our long-term strategy? Does it make sense? Is it going to be a good revenue that's sustainable, that we can maintain? Like apparel and stuff like that is always going to be big because people want to wear like apparel and all that stuff that showcases your product. And if you have a local business, drinks and consumables are always a good idea, especially if you're like a gym or something like that, because it's going to enhance the revenue of the overall thing. And if you're engulfed in doing something that you're not good at, that's not your core product, your dollar per hour is going to go way down because you're going to take forever to do these things. And if you take forever to do these things, you're wasting your time to do other things. And that's why we need to take it like, hey, yeah, it costs money up front, but is the revenue I'm going to produce from this going to offset what it costs and provide a good amount of revenue long term that's going to add to what we actually make and add to what we have?
Yep, good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I think this was obviously another solid one.
Yeah.
Hopefully this helped with anybody. This is a huge passion of mine, is the vision and roadmap to success in a business, and actually having a real business plan. And this is my favorite part of business right here.
This is huge. And so your homework for this, in order to organize your long-term strategy and your roadmap to success, is to either get a whiteboard or a Google Doc or a piece of paper and write down where you want to be 12 months from now, 18 months from now, 24 months from now, 36 months from now, all the way up to the 5-year point. Write it out, each piece and what goal you want. Start off with the longest one and then start backtracking and create how you're going to get there. Then once you've created that timeline,
you know where you want to go, so that you can actually fill in the blanks and see if it's reasonable. And then you know how to get there. So if you have a goal, a 5-year goal of where you want to be, you can then backtrack out and know exactly what you need to make for sales on a monthly, weekly, daily basis to actually get there. And then you can then actually build a game plan out correctly.
Yeah. So for your homework, map it all out up to the 5-year mark and then start working backwards on how you're going to get there. And then once you created that, then start filling in the blanks. So now how do I handle staffing? Who do I need to pick up to help me leverage what I'm not good at? What happens if we don't make what we're trying to do? How do we pivot shift? And then once you have that whole thing organized, you need to turn that into something that you can say to your team and something that you can say to everybody who's part of what you're doing. So that way, everybody's going to believe in your long-term vision and your strategy and what you're doing. Because once you organize it, that's the first step. The second step, and one of the more important steps probably, is getting your team to buy in and getting your team on board and getting your team excited. And to do that, you have to be able to display your vision in a way that gets them pumped about the future, them pumped about the vision, and them pumped about pursuing what you guys have moving forward.
Yeah. So, and I think a huge key to that is, and this actually really spells out, like, so if your 5-year game plan doesn't work and your strategy to get there doesn't work, you run into some major problems with having the team buy in and actually being able to accomplish what you're trying to do. So that's where you really need to be real clear on where you want to get to and have the steps in place to get there. Because it's going to tell you, having that game plan is going to tell you how you're going to grow, when you need to grow, how you get, what kind of money you need to put into marketing, what that needs to look like, hiring processes, firing processes, everything, right? So right? If you're not getting someplace and you're not getting buy-in, it's either the plan or the team.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And if your team doesn't buy in, it's because you can't display your vision effectively. And if you can't display your vision effectively, all they're going to see this is as something that's more work for them to do. And that's what you want to avoid. And this is why companies with really good culture, where their team actually believes in them, do really well, and they have good, high productivity and people who are excited about what they're doing. It's because they can display their vision and get people excited about that vision. So that's step 2. Step 1, organize everything into your long-term strategy, organize your vision and map it all out. Then step 2, understand how to display this to your team so they're pumped and excited about it. And then if you can do both those things, you're going to have everything you need to do mapped out, and you're going to have people who want to follow you to the ends of the earth to make it work. And then you win.
That's right. This has been a good one, guys.
Yeah. Good times.
So I'll say it. We might see you tomorrow. We might not, but I can tell you this. We'll probably see you tomorrow.
Yeah, we've been really good about this, like every day. And we even fixed our audio. I had to have like one of our technicians come in and replace a bunch of stuff to make sure the internet was functioning correctly. And now I think we are golden. No more robots.
Although I like Mr. Roboto.
I know. Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto.
I love it.
All right.
Another good one.
We'll see you when you see you. See ya.